One of the most important people in your puppy's life is going to be your vet, and it's really important to find a great vet that you trust. So to talk about puppies' health needs, I've got Sarah with me here, who's the Senior Veterinary Advisor from SEVA. So, Sarah, what's really important for people when they bring their puppy home?
Well, the first important thing to think about really is bring them to see us, because we just like to see them without having to do anything to them necessarily, and just welcome them to the practice and say hello. So definitely bring them to see us, but then another time hopefully we'd like to have a check over, make sure they're fit and they're healthy, make sure there's nothing we need to be worried about, check to see that they're growing okay, and also to talk with you about vaccinations to try and protect them against some horrible diseases that are out there, and also to think about keeping control of those fleas and worms as well, because we need to keep on top of those, and also thinking about diet and for the future. So are we going to breed from them or not breed for them? So ideally get them neutered. So there's a whole raft of things to discuss.
So going back to the vaccination side of things, what vaccinations do puppies need?
They absolutely need to be vaccinated against parvovirus, which is a horrible disease, infectious hepatitis, and distemper as well, which is something that people hopefully have heard about. There is a possibility if your puppy in the future is going to be going into kennels that we need to be thinking about kennel cough as well, because that's a really, really infectious group of bugs that can cause that. So we can also have a vaccine against that as well.
So what age can you start vaccinating puppies?
Generally from 8 weeks of age. There's slight differences depending on which vaccines that your vet will use, so definitely get in contact with them, let them know you've got a puppy, hopefully bring them in just to say hello and find out when you need to get those vaccines started. You'll need to have 2 vaccines, so sometimes you find when you bring puppy home they've already had one with their breeder, and that's fine. You just need to make sure you keep the appointment to make sure your second vaccine's done. Other than that, you're going to have 2 that are started when you first take them in. And it's a week after that, it's traditionally, as vets, we will say, yes, we're happy with their protection. You can take them out and about wherever you would like them to go.
So how old does that mean that they are when you can get them out?
It means they're going to be probably about 11 weeks, so I know that's not ideal from a behaviour point of view.
I guess it's just where the veterinary world and the behaviour world sort of have slightly different opinions, because obviously we think from a behaviour point of view that the sooner you can get your puppies out, the better, because then the more they see, the more they experience in those really, really important weeks when they're growing their brains. But I think it probably comes down to just risk, and if you have something that's going to be more reactive or going to be more fearful, it's about getting them out as early as you can. But I mean, how can you do that safely?
There are ways you can get around that. So I would always advocate, if you know people that have got dogs that are fully vaccinated, then you can quite happily introduce your puppy to that dog, and so long as it's in a home where it's only vaccinated dogs that are going, then that's absolutely fine. And also, you know, get them out and about. Just don't take them let them on the floor. Keep them up high, keep them held, and take them out to see what's going on, meet people, and I know, get that socialisation started. But it is, as you said, it's a balance between benefit and risk. So it's looking at keeping your puppy as protected and safe as you can, but also exposing them to things as well.
So how about food? How do people know what and how much they should be feeding their puppy?
Food is a minefield, absolutely, definitely. There are loads and loads of different sorts of food out there, different makes. It's always interesting to speak to the breeder and see what your puppy's been fed on initially, but also speak to the vet and see what their advice is as well, because with some really fast growing breeds you need to make sure you really are getting the right nutrients in there, getting the right calories and getting the right balance of the different nutrients as well. The best thing you can do is just make sure it's a puppy food. Make sure that it is designed for puppies and it's not just an adult food.
And you touched on the horrible fleas and worms and all of those sort of things.
The creepy crawlies.
The creepy crawlies. How can you make sure that your puppy is bug-free?
We definitely need to get on top of those creepy crawlies, because they're not very nice to have around us, and they're not nice for the dog either. So we need to be thinking about worming our dogs regularly, and hopefully your puppies come home on a programme of a routine worming anyway, because they can have had worms passed on to them from their mother. So we need to be doing that every 2 weeks up until 12 weeks. And then generally it's monthly until they get to 6 months. And then you can go on to the normal adult routine of every 3 months, which if you've got any dogs at home already, hopefully you're already doing that. And unfortunately, fleas are a year-round problem. So it isn't just thinking, well, it's summer, I only need to worry about it then. Keep on top of it all year round is the best advice.
How do you know if your puppy's got fleas?
Well, there's a little trick you can use. So if you pop your puppy on some kitchen paper, and you brush them and comb them, and you'll have dander and things fall onto the paper. And there might be some little black specks. It could be flea dirt from the fleas, which is flea poo, lovely. Or it might be just dirt, and you can't tell. But the trick is to wet that paper then. And if it is flea dirt, so flea poo, it will turn red because it's the blood that the flea has been eating. They poo out and then it just dissolves in the water. Very exciting.
Thank you for that. That's going to stay with me.
Give my biscuit.
Now, I know Adaptil is an absolutely invaluable product for when people bring their puppies home. So what is Adaptil?
Adaptil is just a synthetic copy of the pheromone that a mother releases 2 to 3 days after she's given birth, and it's called the dog appeasing pheromone. And the idea of this pheromone is that it's released from the area around the mammary glands. That's where the puppies are spending an awful lot of their time feeding, and it just gives them some comfort and reassurance that she's safe and she's a really safe core to their environment, really. And then as they start to get older, they can start to investigate the world around them, but know that she's the safe hub to come back to. So all Adaptil is just a copy of that pheromone that she naturally releases.
So how can new owners use Adaptil?
There's 3 different preparations that you can use, so it's a case of finding which one works best for you. The first way is using a diffuser, so it's just a plug-in unit that you switch on and leave on all the time, and ideally you want that being plugged in the room that the puppy's going to spend a lot of their time, which is generally where they're going to sleep. And that then just diffuses the pheromone into the environment for them 24 hours a day. The other way you can use is a collar, and that's just a plastic collar that you attach around their neck and keep it snug to the skin. That's the really important bit with the collar, and that lasts a month. So both that and the diffuser you can pop either into the wall or onto the dog, and for a month you've got a nice lot of support there from the pheromone. The other way you can use is a spray. This is just more of a shorter term way that you can use the pheromone, and it lasts up to 4 hours. So this can be quite a good way of using it if you're taking your dog somewhere and you just want a little bit of support on a blanket, for example, wherever they're going. So Carolyn, something that I used to get asked quite a lot when I was seeing puppies is what to do, how to settle them in. Are there any top tips that we can learn from as to how to help puppy those first few nights?
Well, it's always difficult because we want to do the very, very best thing for the puppies when we bring them home. The first thing is preparation. Make sure you know where your puppy's going to sleep, where your puppy's going to spend most of their time. The very first thing to do the minute you get them back home, they're going to want to go to the toilet. They've been in the car, so the first thing to do, get them outside to the place that you've already decided is where they're going to use as their toilet. The minute they go, because they will, reward them, praise them, tell them how fantastic they are, because it's their very, very first lesson, and you're getting a chance to reward them and start off their toilet training.
That's great, because then straight away you've got that first lesson job done, haven't you, really?
Yeah,
so
and that's the starting point. It's wonderful. So yes, you've decided where your puppy is going to sleep. One of the things is everybody's so excited when the puppy comes home first, but actually you've just got to make it low key and give the puppy a chance to settle. This is the first time he's been away from his mum, he's been away from his litter mates. It's actually, you know, it's a little bit worrying. The last thing he wants is everybody sort of wrestling with a puppy.
Yeah.
It's just let him calm, let him chill. He's had a long journey. Just let him settle in his own time. And I think that's one of the most important things. Just letting them settle in their own time. Playing games, making their new life exciting and really, really thrilling and really comfortable. I think that's one of the main things.
And how about a routine then? Because I know some people like to get into quite a set routine straight away because they want puppy to know that this is how it's going to be. What do you think about routines for them?
I think half the problem is none of us really have a routine. I mean, we're taking our puppy in and we want them to be part of our family life, and our families really don't have routines. And I think if you do that, you then start to get a puppy that gets really worried because he's there going, oh, I think it's time when I should be having a walk now, isn't it? And they get really worried. I mean, obviously, you're going to feed them at specific times during the day. And as far as toileting is concerned, they're always going to need to go to the toilet at certain times. So when they wake up, after they've had a game, after they've eaten. But beyond that, I tend to say just stay away from routine whatsoever. Just teach your puppy that life is just, you know, yay, whatever happens, happens. And then they're not starting to get worried if things aren't happening the same way every day.
And what about toilet training? Again, it's a really difficult one that I know I used to get asked quite a lot. What's the best way to help a puppy learn about toileting?
I think it is the thing that puppy owners worry about more than anything else. And it couldn't be easier, really, because if you watch a mum with her puppies, she'll push her puppy away from the sleeping area to go and toilet. She's already taught them not to toilet where you sleep. And so for us, certainly at night with our puppies, we can sort of build on that. Indoor crates are fantastic because what you do is you're limiting the area that the puppy's got to sleep in. He's already learnt that you don't toilet in the place where you sleep. So he's more likely to just hold on a little bit so that then you can get him out. But then you have to play your part as well, and that does mean you have to make sure that he goes out regularly, he goes out when he wakes up, he goes out after a game, he goes out after food, and the most important thing is when he gets it right, when he toilets in the right place, you tell him he is the most fantastic, lovely, gorgeous little boy ever, and you reward them so that they really know what it is that you want. Puppies don't want to get it wrong. They really want to please us. And for us, it's about making sure they know that every single time they go in that place that we want them to, we tell them they're amazing. And if they make a mistake, well, it's our fault. It's our fault for not watching them enough. It's our fault for not taking them out and knowing when they need to go to the toilet. We don't blame the puppy for that. Because if you blame the puppy, all you do is just teach him that life is potentially unsafe. You need to teach him that when he goes in the right place, he is just fantastic and just such a good boy. And the rest of the time, it's just a case of keeping an eye on your puppy. All the time with puppies, it's about rewarding them for when they get it right. It's about making their new life fun and enjoyable. And toilet training is just one of those very first exercises we teach, and it's going to form the bond that you have with your puppy. If you teach your puppy that life's fun and easy, and when he gets it right, he gets a reward, it's fantastic. If you toilet train properly, it only takes a couple of weeks and your puppy will be completely reliable.
And that's super quick because so many people are worried that it's going to take months and months. So it's being consistent, do you think, as well?
Yeah, it's different across the breeds as well. Different breeds are different. Lots of people say that toy breeds are hard to toilet train. And in many ways they probably are. It's just because they're tiny and they've got really small digestive systems and everything goes through a lot quicker. So they do have to go out more often. So it's getting to know your puppy.
So Carolyn, a big question I have for you is, what is the socialisation period that people might have seen, heard about, read about?
Socialisation is probably one of the most important things to make sure that we have a calm, sensible dog. The majority of behaviour problems that behaviourists see come because puppies haven't been properly socialised when they were younger. Any of the problems that come from fear, and fear isn't just what people think about. It's not just noise phobias, fear of strange noises. It's not just fear of being left alone. It's also fear of strange people, strange dogs, and that's what gives rise to aggressions. Most aggressions come from fear. And if you can teach a puppy in the early first 16 weeks, roughly, of life, that things aren't scary, that things are normal, then you're going to prevent an awful lot of the behaviour problems that arise from fear.
What's important about the 16 weeks?
It's really interesting. All animals are neophobic. In other words, they are scared of new stuff. It's that instinct that stops rabbit bouncing up to wolves and going, "Hey, Mr. Wolf, who are you?" and getting eaten. So nature assumes that if you don't know what it is, it's scary and you should stay away from it. But for a newly born animal to be scared of everything would be completely counterproductive because every single thing's new. So you have a really short period in which you accept stuff and you accept it as normal. So if you're in that period, you'll go, "Yay, a cup of coffee. Wow, that's really interesting." After it, you'll go, "Whoa, that could be a bit scary. I've never seen one of those before." And in dogs, that kicks in at about 49 days.
Okay.
Anything that they meet before that 49 days, they'll go, "Yeah, that looks really exciting." After that period, they'll go, "Whoa." And depending on their personality, when they go, "Whoa," is it either whether they'll be fearful about it, or they'll maybe get a bit, "I'll get it before it gets me," or however it is it works. But 49 days is only 7 weeks. And that's a period when they're still with the breeder. So that's why it's so important to go and find a breeder who socialises their puppies to lots of sounds, smells, sights, feels and tastes. Every single thing that stimulates the senses is going to help develop that puppy's brain and going to be more things that they're not scared of. But up until 16 weeks, They're also working out who their social group is. Who are the people we're friendly to? Who are the people we play with? What are the things that I can just ignore as not being important? And what are the things that are really, really important to me? But all cells in the body have got a time to grow and they've got a time to stop growing. And this brain development has got a really specific time. By 16 weeks, 85% of a puppy's brain's already grown. And so if you miss out that period, that socialisation period in the time the puppy's with the breeder and then that first 16 weeks, you can never get that back. That's why we've got so many dogs with behaviour problems that are really reactive, that are funny with other dogs, that aren't good with people. It's so easy to prevent if you get that 16 weeks right.
It's such a short period of time from when you've got them, really, isn't it? So is that the same for every breed?
No, that's where it gets even more interesting. All the breeds are thought of as being really reactive. Terriers, some of your terriers, some of your guarding breeds, in some of those they get that hazard onset, that bit where we go, whoa, that's something new, really young. German Shepherd's 5 weeks old. Isn't that just amazing?
Really,
so it's really important to go to a breeder who understands socialisation, but then you have to do it as well. As a new owner, you have to keep giving them those lessons, teaching them, socialising them and habituating them.
Okay, so there's a couple of questions I'm going to have after that. So initially, what is then socialisation and habituation? Because those are very different words.
They really are. Socialisation is teaching the puppy all the things you want them to have a social relationship with. So all kinds of people. So women, men, children, babies, people with hats, people with umbrellas, people in wheelchairs, people jogging, all sorts of different people, so that your puppy goes, oh yeah, I've seen that before, as opposed to, whoa, whoa, strange hat. And also other dogs. You want your dog to be social to lots of other dogs. And generally, that's it for socialisation. If you've got cats that are really dog friendly, then socialise your puppy to the cats as well. Habituation is teaching your puppy that things aren't scary. So it's all the things that you want your puppy to ignore and just go, oh yeah, oh, fireworks, oh, thunderstorms, oh, cyclists, oh, that, all the things you want your puppy to go, yeah, that's normal, whatever, nothing to do with me. And that's the difference. Number of people that socialise their puppy to the vacuum cleaner, which is really interesting, because then they worry why their dog attacks the vacuum cleaner. It's because you've taught them that's part of your social group and you play with it. No, you habituate to the vacuum. Yes, you habituate against the vacuum cleaner. That's the difference between socialisation and habituation. So socialisation, the things you want them to be social with and play with. Habituation, all the things you want them to ignore. And I say that includes fireworks, thunderstorms. You can get CDs that you can put in and play when your puppy's really, really young, when he's doing other things. You play them really quietly so he can hardly hear them, and he gets used to the fact that there's strange noises around and they're nothing to be worried about. And also with habituation, it's thinking about what's going to be part of your specific puppy's life. If you live in the city, that means that you need to habituate to cars and traffic and buses and all the noises of the city. If you live out in the countryside, then it's probably more important that you're habituating to sheep and cows and all the things that you don't want your puppy to interact with. It's just a case of thinking about your own life, thinking about what's going to be part of your puppy's life, and just make sure you're producing the very, very best dog that you can to fit into your lifestyle.
So what other things can owners be thinking about to help with that socialisation and habituation process?
Have a party.
Oh, that sounds fun anyway.
Seriously, you're trying to introduce your puppy to as many different people as you can in as many different locations as you can. So take your puppy out and about. Everybody wants to help you socialise puppies. If you go out with a puppy, everybody will be there going, oh, can I talk to your puppy? But remember, your puppy's learning what's safe, and you have to make sure that all the experiences they have in this period are positive. So if you're socialising your puppy to children, you need to make sure that your puppy has a really good time with children. Not that they pull them around or teach them that children are dangerous things, but they teach them that children are fun and that the puppy can enjoy interacting with them. Get them out and about, take them out, carry them to outside the school and get them to talk to people. It's about making sure your puppy has loads of positive experiences in this really, really important period of life.
So Carolyn, you mentioned about helping puppies learn to spend some time alone. Why is that important, and how can we actually help them with that as well?
Well, much as we want our dogs to be with us all the time, realistically there's times when our dogs have to be left home alone. Whether it's because we need to go out shopping or for whatever reasons, we need to teach our dogs to be on their own. And separation anxiety, separation problems are probably one of the hardest things that we ever have to deal with as behaviourists, because they are so difficult. Our dogs want to be with us. That's why we love to have dogs in our lives, because they want to be with us all the time. But we have to teach them how to be able to cope on their own, because that's what separation anxiety is. It's about puppies who've never learnt how to cope with being on their own. And there's that temptation when you've got this tiny, gorgeous little squidgy puppy that you've just brought home to have them follow you everywhere. But you actually have to just resist that a little bit. Okay. Baby gates are fantastic, because what you can do is you can put up a baby gate and maybe give your puppy his dinner the other side of the baby gate. So he can see you, he still feels he's part of the family, he's having his dinner, so nice stuff's happening, but he's not necessarily right next to you. Just so that he gets those coping skills. But he has to learn that when you're not there, really good stuff still happens. So leave him with a really tasty chew or a stuffed toy with food in it, anything to make him think that good stuff still happens even though you're not there, and just build up his tolerance for being on his own.
So potentially you may have to have a dog that's coming everywhere with you. When we want to have our dogs come with us, and we want to be able to get out and about, and we want to take them for walks and do all this wonderful stuff with them. So that generally involves getting in a car. So what tips do you have, or what advice can you give us to help our puppies learn that travelling in the car is a good thing?
All the time what we're trying to do with puppies, as you've just said, we're trying to teach them that life's full of really good things. So many people, the first time they put their puppy in the car is to drive them for miles, and then they're surprised when they're car sick, travel sick, and straight away the puppy's got a negative association with the car. Start small. Put your puppy in the car, give him his dinner, take him out again. Don't take him anywhere. Just let him think, oh, car, nice, treats, lovely. Put him in the car with a nice chew, take him back out again. Then maybe take him for a drive around the block, bring him back. It's all about starting really small and always making sure it's positive all the time. Just teaching your puppy that the car's fun. But then Adaptil can help there as well, can't it?
Absolutely, because it just gives a little bit of comfort that's coming there in the car. So the spray is fabulous for that, because you can spray it on a blanket, pop it in the car, leave 15 minutes just to let the alcohol evaporate. But then the support is there to help your puppy know, with all the lovely, hopefully, treats and food and praise that you're giving them, that actually the car's a great place to be.
A lot of the time it's just thinking about how our puppies are looking on things, and it's just thinking we have to teach that the car's a fantastic place, that being on their own's fine. Adaptil can help, but it's also just about rewarding the puppy for just accepting these things as part of life.
What else should we think about when they're travelling in the car? Are there any safety things that we should consider as well?
Yeah, we need to think whereabouts the puppy's travelling in the car. I mean, the very safest place is to have a dog guard and a tailgate in your car, and the dog travels in the middle. Make it comfortable, put lots of vet bed down, make it a really comfortable space for your puppy. We've got to make sure that our puppies are safe and secure in the car, that if we had any kind of accidents that they're going to be contained in the car, and also that they don't distract us when we're driving. Number of times I've driven down roads and you'll see somebody driving with a puppy over their shoulder and they're wrestling. You can't do that. Make sure that your puppy's not going to distract you, but they're somewhere safe and secure as well, that they then just get used to.
I agree. I don't like to see dogs with their heads sticking out the windows, because I'm just really concerned about anything that's flying around that can affect their eyes and their ears, but also just for their safety, they're not trying to get out as well, because that could be disastrous. Yeah,
well, I mean, we wear seatbelts for a really good reason. We need to make sure our puppies are just as secure in the car.
Wow, that's an awful lot of things that we've covered there. So I think we've covered very first steps for puppy when they're coming to your new home, and how to settle in and visit the vets, and check out all of those things we need to think about, so fleas and worms and vaccinations, socialisation, toilet training. What else was there, Caroline?
Travelling, car travel we've done. So I mean that's an awful lot of stuff. I think now we're ready to actually start thinking about some training.
That sounds a good idea to me.